My brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I want to remind you about something so simple, so powerful, yet sadly, most of us don't know the value of it. It's not a secret treasure. It's not hidden deep in the earth. It's something you and I already have in our homes, the Qur'an. And among its beautiful chapters, there is one surah that scholars and the righteous have turned to for barakah in rizq, for protection from poverty, and for spiritual and worldly upliftment. That surah is Surah Al-Waqi'ah. The Prophet Muhammad is reported to have said, "Whoever recites Surah Al-Waqi'ah every night will never be afflicted by poverty." Ibn Asakir, though the narration is weak, the meaning is upheld by many scholars for its virtue. Let me tell you something. Rizq isn't just money, it's peace of mind. It's good health. It's time well spent. It's a family that brings you joy. It's friends who remind you of Allah. And yes, it is halal income. That comes with ease and barakah. So don't limit your understanding of rizq to just numbers in your bank account. A trillionaire in the dunya might not sleep in peace, while someone with less can be living in tranquility because of Allah's blessings. Why Surah Al-Waqi'ah? Because it shakes the heart with reminders of the Day of Judgment. It teaches us who the Ashab al-Yamin are, the people of the right, and how Allah honors them. When you connect with this surah every night, you're not just reading for rizq, you're reading for purpose, for understanding. You're inviting barakah into your home. And remember, it's not magic. It's not read this tonight and wake up a millionaire. That's not how Allah works. Today I want to speak to you about something that has the power to transform your life. Not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. It is something most of us overlook. It's something we've probably heard about, but never truly connected with. It is a chapter of the Qur'an, a surah, that is packed with divine power and unmatched blessings. And I want you to pay close attention because the reality is 99% of Muslims do not realize the incredible treasure that lies in this one surah. That surah is Surah Al-Waqi'ah. The Prophet Muhammad is reported to have said, "Whoever recites Surah Al-Waqi'ah every night will never suffer from poverty." Now, although scholars have pointed out that the chain of this narration is weak, many of our great predecessors acted upon it. They understood that the Quran is full of blessings, and even if a narration is not the strongest, if it encourages us to build a connection with Allah and seek halal means of provision, it is something worth reflecting on. Let me pause here and clarify something. Rizq is not just money. It's not just a paycheck at the end of the month or numbers in your bank account. Rizq is everything that Allah provides. It's the oxygen you breathe, the roof over your head, the food on your plate, the strength in your body, the light in your heart, the barakah in your time, the smile of your child, the love of your spouse, and the peace in your soul. Some people have millions, but they cannot sleep at night. Others have very little in terms of wealth, but they live with complete contentment. That is real rizq. When we talk about becoming a trillionaire in rizq, we're not talking about worldly wealth alone. We're talking about reaching such a level of spiritual and material sufficiency that you have what you need and more, not just to live comfortably but to help others, to serve the ummah, to build your akhirah with what you've been given. This is the beauty of true provision. Now back to Surah Al-Waqi'ah. What makes it so special? It begins with a powerful reminder: the Day of Judgment is real. The surah categorizes people into three groups: the foremost in faith, the people of the right, and the people of the left. It goes into detail about the rewards of Jannah, the torment of hell, and the undeniable reality that every soul will face accountability. But among these deep and awe-inspiring themes, there's also an underlying message. When you live a life connected to Allah, when you are conscious of your purpose, He will take care of you, He will provide, He will open doors, He will make your efforts fruitful. That's why many righteous scholars and Muslims before us adopted the habit of reciting this surah every night. They found that it brought them ease in ways they never imagined. It wasn't a magic formula. It was a nightly spiritual act of discipline, a way to anchor the heart to Allah, a way to end the day with purpose and reflection, and a way to entrust your affairs to the one who never fails. You see, Allah is Ar-Razzaq, the one who provides for every living thing, from the birds in the sky to the fish in the sea, from the rich to the poor, from the believer to the disbeliever. He provides without limit, without expectation. But when you make an effort to remember Him, to connect with His book, to trust in His plan, then He provides not just in quantity, but in quality. That's the difference between risk and risk with barakah. Let me tell you this. If you make it a habit from tonight, just tonight, to sit for 5 or 10 minutes before bed, open the Qur'an or pull out your phone and recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah, and do it again tomorrow night, and the night after that, watch how your life begins to shift. Maybe not overnight, maybe not with piles of cash at your doorstep, but slowly your chest will feel lighter, decisions will become clearer, doors will open, you'll feel more grounded, more grateful, more aware of the blessings around you. That is the real richness. And as you recite, make dua. Raise your hands and say, Ya Allah, open for me the doors of halal sustenance. Ya Allah, give me enough to never depend on anyone but you. Ya Allah, make me a means of provision for others. Ya Allah, place barakah in my work, in my time, in my wealth, in my life. When you do this sincerely, consistently, and with full trust in Allah, He will never let you down. This is the promise of the Lord of the heavens and the earth. So say it tonight, my brothers and sisters. Recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Let it become part of your life. And see how Allah makes you a trillionaire. Not just in wealth, but in heart, in soul, in purpose. May Allah grant you blessed rizq that brings you closer to Him. Ameen. Surah Al-Waqi'ah is one of those chapters of the Qur'an that many Muslims have heard of, but very few have taken the time to understand, internalize, and apply in their daily lives. It is known among some scholars as Surat al-Ghina, which means the Surah of Wealth. That's not just a poetic title, it reflects the experience of countless believers who have seen barakah, ease and provision flow into their lives after developing a relationship with this surah. But we need to understand what this really means. Islam is not a religion of superstition or shortcuts. It is a complete way of life, rooted in intention, action and trust in Allah. So when we talk about a surah being linked to wealth, we are not saying that reciting it is like waving a magic wand. We're saying that it aligns you spiritually with the kind of mindset, energy, and connection that attracts real, meaningful, halal rizq. The Prophet Muhammad is reported to have said, "Whoever recites Surah Al-Waqi'ah every night will never face poverty." This narration, while weak in its chain of transmission, has been acted upon by many righteous scholars and Muslims throughout history. Why? Because its message and spiritual effect are powerful. Think about it. What does poverty mean? It doesn't always mean lack of money. It can be a poverty of the soul, of peace, of health, of motivation. And the opposite of that, true wealth, is to be spiritually fulfilled, mentally strong, physically capable, and financially stable, all through the blessings and mercy of Allah. Surah Al-Waqi'ah gives you perspective. It reminds you that this world is not your final stop. It begins with vivid imagery of the Day of Judgment, shaking the reader awake with the realization that what we chase today may not matter tomorrow. It divides people into 3 categories. The as-sabikun, the foremost in faith, those who rush towards Allah with sincerity and sacrifice. The ashab al-yamin, the people of the right, who lived righteous lives and will be rewarded. And the ashab al-shimal, the people of the left, who turned away from truth and face its consequences. Now here's where the power lies. When you recite this surah regularly, especially at night before you sleep, you're not just seeking wealth in the form of money. You're aligning your heart with the attitude of the As-Sabikun and Ashab al-Yamin. You are programming your mind to value the Akhirah more than the Dunya. And that shift alone changes how risk enters your life. Because Allah tells us in the Qur'an, whoever is mindful of Allah, He will make a way out for him and provide for him from where he never expected. Surah Al-Waqi'ah helps build that mindfulness. It roots your heart in remembrance. It reminds you of the reality of life and death, and it connects your soul to your provider, Ar-Razzaq. Another important dimension is spiritual consistency. If you read this surah one night and expect miracles by morning, you've misunderstood the way Allah's system works. Islam teaches us to be patient, disciplined, and consistent. The Prophet loved those actions which were small but done regularly. When you commit to reciting Surah Al-Waqi'ah every night, even if it's just once before you sleep, you're creating a spiritual routine that builds barakah into your life, slowly but surely. It might start as a simple recitation, but soon you'll find yourself understanding the meanings, pondering the verses, feeling your heart soften, and your mind sharpen. This is also a surah that teaches accountability. It describes how every soul will be judged based on their deeds. When you read this every night, you're indirectly reminding yourself to check your own actions. How did I earn my money today? Was it halal? Was it ethical? Did I help someone? Was I honest in my business dealings? That's the kind of mindset that opens the doors of rizq, not just wealth, but rizq that is pure, blessed and pleasing to Allah. And let us not forget, the words of the Qur'an are not just ink on a page, they are the speech of Allah. When you recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah, you are engaging with the words of the one who controls every atom in the universe. Do you really think a heart that is consistently in touch with Allah's words will remain in hardship without any opening? Absolutely not. Allah tests, but He also provides. He withholds, but only to give better. He delays, but never forgets. So, if you're struggling financially, spiritually, or emotionally, or if you're doing okay but you desire barakah, growth and ease, then start with Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Read it tonight. Let it settle in your heart. Reflect on it. Make it a nightly companion. And do it not with the mindset of a transaction, but with the mindset of devotion and trust. Rizq is in Allah's hands, but the keys are given to those who knock on the door with sincerity, consistency, and humility. The Quran is not just a book of rules and rituals, it is a living guide for the heart, the soul, and every aspect of our existence. When we speak about rizq and sustenance in Islam, we must begin with the understanding that the Quran itself is a source of rizq, not just material rizq, but spiritual nourishment that leads to abundance in every form. Allah refers to the Quran as a shifa, a healing, and also as huda, a guidance. When the heart is guided and healed, the body follows in strength, and the world becomes easier to navigate. Many people are seeking blessings in their wealth, in their careers and their homes, but they've forgotten that the real source of barakah is already within their reach. It's the Quran sitting on their shelves, untouched for weeks or even months. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, in particular, is one of those surahs that can change your relationship with provision forever. It isn't just a wealth surah in the worldly sense. It's a deep, transformative chapter that trains your soul to trust Allah's promise. People often chase motivational quotes, quick-fix success formulas, and worldly strategies to improve their financial state. But the believer's first strategy is spiritual. He knows that provision is written by the one who controls the heavens and the earth. He knows that Allah gives not based on how clever we are, but based on our faith, our effort, and the state of our hearts. And that's why the Quran becomes central to the life of someone who truly seeks barakah in rizq. Allah says in Surah Taha, "And whosoever turns away from my remembrance, verily for him is a life of hardship." This means when we forget Allah, when we abandon His book, we end up chasing things that will never satisfy us. But when we return to His remembrance, through salah, through dua, and through the Quran, we find ease in places we never imagined. Surah Al-Waqi'ah brings that remembrance into your life on a consistent basis. When you recite it regularly, especially at night, you are filling your heart with the words of Allah at the very time when people are distracted by the world. You're choosing to end your day with divine light, instead of noise and darkness. Some people say, "I read Quran but nothing has changed in my life." The answer is not to stop reading. The answer is to keep going, but to deepen your connection. Don't just read the Arabic, try to understand. Read the translation, ponder the meanings. What is Allah telling me? What does this surah want me to feel? What is it warning me about, and what is it inviting me toward? When you read with that kind of intention, the Quran begins to work on you from the inside. It softens your heart, strengthens your will, clarifies your priorities, and gives you an inner peace that no money can buy. This is why we say the Quran is a source of rizq, because it unlocks the mindset that attracts provision. When you stop chasing and start trusting, Allah sends things to you. When you put your head down in sincere worship, the world comes to your feet. That's not a fairy tale. It's the experience of millions of Muslims throughout history who made the Quran the center of their lives. Even the Prophet Muhammad, who had the greatest of responsibilities, spent his nights in deep connection with the Quran. Why? Because he knew that all strength, all provision, all success comes through that door. Surah Al-Waqi'ah also brings structure to your spiritual routine. The act of reading it every night disciplines your soul. It reminds you daily that your rizq is not in the hands of your employer, your government, or your business. It is in the hands of our Razak. And when you start your relationship with the Quran with one surah, like Al-Waqi'ah, it often opens the door to more. You begin with this, and then you want to read Surah Al-Mulk, then Surah Yasin. Then you want to read during the day. It's a spiritual chain reaction. And that's how the Quran transforms your life, bit by bit, verse by verse. Don't let the Quran be something you only visit in hardship. Let it be your companion in ease and in struggle. Let Surah Al-Waqi'ah be the surah you read not only for wealth, but for clarity, peace, strength, and connection. When you do this sincerely, you will see that the Quran is not just a book, it's a living miracle. It doesn't just teach you how to earn, it teaches you how to live. And when you live by its light, rizq follows, barakah surrounds you, and the doors of Allah's mercy remain open for you every single day. Many people today are constantly looking for ways to improve their financial situation. They look to business books, online courses, investment strategies, and motivational speakers, hoping to unlock the secret to wealth. But what if I told you that the secret to rizq is not in a course, not in a bank account, and not in a business strategy, but in something much simpler? Your consistency in connecting with the Qur'an, and more specifically, with Surah Al-Waqi'ah. One of the most overlooked lessons in Islam is that consistency in worship, even in small acts, brings far greater results than occasional intense efforts. This is a principle our Prophet Muhammad emphasized often. He said, the most beloved deeds to Allah are those that are consistent, even if they are small. Surah Al-Waqi'ah is not a long surah. For most people it takes just 5 to 7 minutes to recite, yet those few minutes, when repeated every night, build a spiritual habit that does far more than we realize. It's not just the recitation that changes you, it's the discipline behind the recitation. It's the message you send to your heart and to your Lord every night. Ya Allah, I trust that you are the source of all provision. I trust that your words are the key to my success. I trust that what you have promised will come, even if I don't see it yet. The reality is, we live in a world where everyone is in a rush. People want results immediately. They want money now, solutions now, success now. But Allah's way is different. Allah teaches us patience, trust, and effort. Rizq from Allah doesn't come to the one who is desperate and impatient. It comes to the one who plants seeds every day, who waters them with dua, and who trusts that Allah will make them grow in the best way and at the best time. When you make it a habit to recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah every night, you are planting one of those seeds. You are building a garden of barakah around you that grows silently, steadily, and surely. Some people wonder, if Allah already knows what He will provide, why should I keep asking? The answer is simple. Dua and worship are not about changing Allah's decree. They are about positioning yourself to receive what He has already written for you in the most beautiful and blessed way. When you recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah with sincerity, you're not just doing an act of worship. You're actively turning your face toward the source of all blessings. You are telling Allah, I am here, I am trying, I am relying on you. The more you do this, the more you will begin to notice something. You will start to change. Maybe not in your finances right away, but in your mindset. Your stress levels decrease. Your ability to make wise decisions improves. You begin to feel more content. You begin to recognize opportunities that were always around you, but which you were too distracted to notice before. Allah doesn't just drop money into your lap. He opens your eyes, your heart, and your hands to receive what is already flowing toward you. This is what people often miss when they say, I read Surah Al-Waqi'ah, but nothing happened. They expect something dramatic, instant, and material. But rizq is not always in the form of money. Sometimes Allah gives you strength. Sometimes He protects you from a loss. Sometimes He sends you the right person at the right time. Sometimes He gives you the ability to work hard and be productive. And all of this begins with consistency. The Quran was never meant to be approached like a vending machine. Press a button and get your result. It is a long-term relationship. It is something you build slowly, sincerely, and consistently. And the more you invest in it, the more it returns to you in ways you never imagined. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, when made part of your nightly routine, becomes a personal reminder. It closes your day with Allah's words. It shields you from poverty, not just material poverty, but spiritual poverty. It fills your night with remembrance and prepares your soul for a restful sleep and a productive tomorrow. So if you are serious about seeking halal rizq, if you want to grow in wealth that is blessed and meaningful, then start tonight. Open the Qur'an, recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Even if you're tired, even if you don't feel anything yet, do it. Let it become a habit. Let it become your secret weapon. And watch how your life begins to transform, not just in your bank account, but in your heart, your home, your character, and your connection with your Creator. When we speak about Trillionaire Rizq, we have to be very clear. Islam does not measure wealth by numbers alone. In the world we live in today, people think being wealthy means having millions or billions in your bank account. driving luxury cars, wearing designer clothes, or owning massive properties. But in the sight of Allah, wealth has a completely different meaning. True rizq, real provision, is what benefits you, what brings you peace, what uplifts your soul, and what draws you closer to your Creator. You can have very little money, but be one of the richest people on earth, because you have barakah in your life, your time, your health, your family, and your actions. That is what we mean when we say Trillionaire Rizq. Surah Al-Waqi'ah helps shift this mindset. It takes the focus away from the dunya and redirects the heart toward what really matters. When you recite it with reflection, you realize that the true winners are those who prepared for the hereafter, those who earned their rizq with dignity and patience, those who didn't allow the love of wealth to blind them from truth. The surah describes three categories of people: the foremost in faith, the people of the right, and the people of the left. This categorization is not based on how much money they made, but on how they lived their lives. Did they believe in Allah? Did they do righteous deeds? Did they care for others? Did they remain grateful in times of ease and patient in times of hardship? That is how Allah measures success. Becoming a trillionaire in the Islamic sense means having enough to live with dignity, to give generously, and to die peacefully. It means having so much barakah in your wealth that it multiplies even if the amount is small. It means having doors open for you when others are struggling. It means Allah protects you from the harms of wealth, arrogance, greed, and corruption, and fills your heart with humility, gratitude, and contentment. This kind of rizq is not visible on a financial chart, but it is deeply felt in everyday life. Many people have money but no peace. They have luxury but no love. They have access to everything, yet they feel empty. Why? Because they pursued wealth without barakah. They chased the dunya and forgot the one who owns it. On the other hand, you'll find people with very modest means, but they live as if they have the whole world. Their homes are filled with happiness. Their children are respectful. Their work is blessed. They sleep with peace. They wake with purpose. This is Trillionaire Rizq, and it only comes from Allah. Surah Al-Waqi'ah teaches us that provision is part of Allah's system. He gives to whom He wills, and He withholds from whom He wills, but He never does so without wisdom. Sometimes the rizq you're asking for is delayed because Allah knows it would harm you if given too soon. Sometimes He gives you something better than what you asked. And sometimes the test of wealth is more dangerous than the test of poverty. That's why we don't just ask for more. We ask for halal rizq, and pure rizq, and blessed rizq. We ask for wealth that brings us closer to Jannah, not further from it. When you recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah regularly, you're not only reading a surah known for its association with wealth, you are actively realigning your values. You are training your heart to depend on Allah, not on means. You are reminding yourself that the one who created the skies and the earth is also the one who can provide for you in ways you never imagined. That mindset is what makes a person rich. So when we say it tonight for Trillionaire Rizq, we don't mean you'll wake up with gold under your pillow. We mean you'll start walking a path that leads to the kind of richness that no market crash can take away, no thief can steal, and no hardship can destroy. You will become wealthy in gratitude, wealthy in faith, wealthy in purpose, wealthy in the eyes of the one whose opinion truly matters. Don't wait for your situation to change before you turn to Allah. Turn to Him first, and you'll see your situation change in ways you never imagined. Start tonight with Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Make it part of your life, and trust that Allah, the most generous, will give you not just what you want, but what is best for you in this world and the next. That is the rizq that lasts forever. In our pursuit of rizq, we often overlook one of the most powerful tools that Allah has given us: intention and dua. These are not abstract concepts, they are real, living acts of worship that can shape the course of your life. Every action in Islam is judged by intention. You could do the smallest deed, but if your intention is sincere and directed towards pleasing Allah, it becomes massive in reward. Similarly, when you make dua, you are not just asking for something, you are declaring your dependence on Allah. You are saying, Ya Allah, I know that only You can provide, and I trust that You will give me what is best. Now think about this in the context of Surah Al-Waqi'ah. When you sit down each night and recite this surah with the intention of drawing closer to Allah and seeking halal, blessed rizq, that simple act becomes a profound form of worship. Your intention transforms your recitation into a statement of reliance, humility, and hope. You're not just reading words, you are planting seeds of abundance. Even before your risk changes on the outside, your heart begins to feel more hopeful, more confident, more at peace. That is the power of intention. But intention alone is not enough. It must be paired with dua. And dua is not a last resort. It is the believer's strongest weapon. The Prophet said that Allah is shy to return the hands of a servant empty when he raises them in supplication. Think about that. The King of all kings, the creator of the universe, the owner of everything you desire, feels shy to turn you away. That alone should give you so much hope. No matter what your situation is, no matter how stuck or hopeless things feel, if you raise your hands and ask Allah with sincerity, know that He hears you and He will respond in the way that is best for you. Surah Al-Waqi'ah reminds us that everything is in Allah's control. The verses describing creation, the day of judgment, the fate of the righteous and the wicked, all of it brings us back to one reality. We are dependent on Allah for every single thing. And when you realize this, you begin to understand the role of dua in your life. You don't make dua just when things go wrong, you make it all the time. You ask Allah before a job interview. You ask Allah when you invest your money. You ask Allah to protect your wealth from harm, to keep it pure, to increase it in ways that are good for your deen and dunya. You ask and then you act. You tie your camel and place your trust in him. This is the balance Islam teaches. We don't sit back and wait for rizq to fall from the sky, nor do we believe that we can earn everything on our own. We take the means, we work hard, but we recognize that success comes only by Allah's permission. That's why pairing Surah Al-Waqi'ah with sincere dua and halal effort creates a beautiful formula. You are doing what you can while trusting Allah with what you can't control. Sometimes Allah delays your rizq, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Maybe your heart isn't ready. Maybe the money you want would distract you from your deen. Maybe you would misuse it. Allah knows and you don't. So when you make dua, include this understanding. Say, Ya Allah, give me what is best for me, even if I don't realize it, and protect me from what seems good but would harm me. This kind of dua comes from a heart that truly submits to Allah, that trusts His plan, even when it's not understood. And while you wait for your dua to be answered, keep your intention pure. Keep reading Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Keep making dua. Keep working in halal ways. This consistent routine is what builds barakah. It builds character. It teaches patience and tawakkul. And when the rizq finally comes, you will know it came through the mercy of Allah, not just your efforts. So many people give up too early. They try something for a week or a month. And when they don't see results, they move on. But the believer is different. He understands that rizq comes on Allah's terms, not his own. So he keeps going. He keeps praying. He keeps striving. And that persistence, that trust, that sincerity, those are the real keys to provision. So tonight when you recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah, do it with a heart full of hope and a mind full of intention. Make dua afterward. Ask Allah for whatever you need, and then sleep in peace knowing that your request is with the one who never breaks his promise. That is the way to unlock rizq that is not only abundant but deeply blessed. One of the most important lessons Surah Al-Waqi'ah teaches us, something that many people fail to reflect on, is the importance of seeking not just more wealth, but your blessed wealth. In today's world, the race for more has blinded people to the concept of barakah. People are obsessed with how much they have, how fast they can grow, and how high they can climb. But they forget to ask, is my wealth pleasing to Allah? Is it pure? Is it helping me or harming me? This is where Surah Al-Waqi'ah becomes such a powerful reminder. It brings us back to the root of what rizq is meant to do in a believer's life. It's not just for survival or comfort, it's a tool to help you fulfill your purpose. Throughout the surah, Allah draws our attention to the different groups of people and their outcomes. The people of the right are those who lived their lives in obedience, avoiding what was haram, being grateful for what they had, and using it to do good. They weren't the richest in the worldly sense, but they were the most successful in the sight of Allah. Why? Because they earned with honesty, they gave in charity, they avoided cheating and deception, they didn't allow the love of wealth to harden their hearts. This is the kind of mindset we need to develop if we want Allah to bless our sustenance. It's very easy to get caught up in chasing more, especially when you see others around you upgrading their lifestyles, boasting about their achievements, and appearing successful. But in Islam, we are taught that not all wealth is good. In fact, the Prophet said, every body that is nourished with haram, the fire is more deserving of it. That means if our wealth comes from interest, fraud, manipulation, or unethical business practices, even if it looks like success from the outside, it is in fact a curse, not a blessing. That's why we ask Allah not just for rizq, but for halal and tayyib rizq, provision that is pure, wholesome, and pleasing to Him. When you recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah regularly, it serves as a nightly check-in with your soul. It reminds you of the end goal. It places the hereafter at the center of your focus. You begin to ask yourself deeper questions. Am I earning in a way that Allah loves? Am I spending in a way that benefits others? Am I generous or stingy? Am I grateful or greedy? These are the kinds of questions that build a foundation for a blessed life. There are people who earn millions, but their hearts are empty. Their wealth causes division in their families. They suffer from constant fear of loss. They're never satisfied. Then you have others who earn modestly, but their wealth is full of barakah. Their children love them, their homes are peaceful, their money stretches and always seems to be enough. This is not a coincidence. This is the difference between wealth with Allah's blessing and wealth without it. It's important to remember that barakah isn't always visible. It's not just about how much you have, it's about how far it goes, how it makes you feel, and what it leads you to do. Barakah means Allah puts khair in your time, your money, your energy, and your life. It's what turns a little into a lot. It's what makes your wealth a means of goodness rather than a distraction. It's what keeps your heart humble when you succeed and patient when you're tested. Surah Al-Waqi'ah helps you develop the kind of heart that attracts barakah. A heart that is humble, grateful, conscious of Allah, and committed to righteousness. A heart that doesn't just ask for more, but asks for what's best. And when you ask Allah with sincerity for blessed rizq, and you strive to earn it in halal ways, He will give you more than you imagined, not just in numbers but in contentment, peace and spiritual growth. So don't let your pursuit of wealth blind you from the true purpose of rizq. Use Surah Al-Waqi'ah as your nightly guide. Let it realign your priorities. Recite it with reflection. Let its verses remind you of the temporary nature of this life and the eternal value of earning with integrity. Ask Allah not just for wealth, but for the kind of wealth that brings you closer to Him, that allows you to benefit others, and that fills your life with light. This is the wealth that matters. This is the rizq that lasts. And this is what every believer should seek. Not just richness in the hand, but richness in the heart, blessed by the one who gives without limit.